Principle number 3, triads. Now triad means 3, so we're going to be building a 3-note chord now, so we're going to build on the basis of our 2-note chord. Let's go to the fretboard, and we're still deriving everything from the G major scale, obviously. Here it is on the fretboard, 1 whole octave. Now there are 2 basic types of triads, and they are major and minor. So with our dyad chords, we only had the root and the 5th, so they weren't either major or minor. When we add the 3rd to our chord, that's going to determine whether they're major or minor. Let me just qualify to you what determines the distance in pitch, whether that's major or minor. Now on our fretboard, G up to B is going to give us a major 3rd, and I determine that by knowing that there's a whole tone and another whole tone in distance from my first tone, the G, up to my 3rd, right? And you can see that on the fretboards, 2 whole tones. Now that constitutes a major 3rd. Now let's take a look at our 2nd tone going up the scale of G major. We have A, B, C. Now look, A, B, C. Our 3rd tone away from the A is actually only a whole step and a half step. Now this means that that's a minor interval, all right? That's a minor 3rd. So this is what determines what's major and minor within our triad chords. So what we're going to do, we're going to build the chords now on the fretboard, and given that you've got that information in your mind and under your fingers, you can qualify that too as we go through them and put these chords together from the G major scale. Now how we build chords from the major scale is we stack thirds. And by that I mean I'm going to take the first note, the 3rd note, then I'm going to go a 3rd note above the 3rd note. So stacking thirds, okay? And I'll show you that obviously. So now let's go to the fretboard and we're going to start building our first chord, our first triad from the G major scale. Here's the G major scale again. Okay, so we know the reference point for our tones. Now our first chord that we're going to build, we stack thirds, and we're going to take the first note, G, go up 3 tones to B, and then we're going to go 3rd above that, stacking thirds, okay? So we've got G, B, and D. So we've got the tones G, B, and D. Now those tones are used to build our first chord. Now I'll qualify that, and our G chord on the fretboard, as we know, looks like this. Now let's qualify the tones, or how I built the chord from the scale. Our first note here is G. Our 2nd note in the chord is a B. Then I have a D note, which is an open string. Right? So we've got our first 3 tones that we've qualified already. Right? So 1, 3, 5. So we've got G, B, D. We have a G again in the chord. We have an open B string again, and then we have G on top of the chord. So therefore we've qualified how we harmonize and create our first chord from the G major scale, and that gives us a G major triad. Now let's take the same principle and apply that to the 2nd note of the scale, which is A, and we're going to build a chord in the same way as we did the first chord. We're going to take the first note, A, go up to the 3rd, so we've got A, C. Now we're going to go a 3rd above C, C, D, E. So our tones for our 2nd chord are A, C, and E. Now those tones will give us an A minor chord. And we all know this A minor chord here in open position. Let's qualify the tones. Now we have an open A string. We haven't got an E bass, so we're not using the E. A is our root note. E, remember, was our 5th. Right, 1, 3, 5. Okay, so we have A, E, A again at the 2nd fret, 3rd string, and our C note, which was our 3rd above the A, is the C, and then we have an open E again. So A, C, and E fall within the chord. Now the order of the notes, as long as the root note's in the bass, it doesn't matter where the other notes of the chord fall within that, the voicing, if you like. It's called a voicing, how the notes lay out. So there's chord number 2. So far we have G major, A minor. Let's build one more chord. Now the next note of the scale is B. So we're going to build from the note B. So our principle is we take the root note, the third note up in the scale, which gives us D. So we have B, D, and then we're going to go a third above the third. And that gives us F sharp. So the tones of our next chord are B, D, F sharp. Now, here's our B chord, B, and it's a B minor chord. Now, let's qualify the tones. Our first finger is holding down the B note with a fifth string root. Then we have our fifth note, as we said, our F sharp here. B again with our little finger. D is being held down here with my second finger. And then we have F sharp on top being held down by the bar. So we have our B minor. We've qualified it. We have B, D, and F sharp that make up the chord. Now, your assignment is to continue building these chords with the same principle. So your next note will be C, and you're going to take a third above that, and then a third above the third, and that's going to give you the tones of that next chord. Now, the next chord will be a C chord, the next one will be D, the next one will be E minor, and then you have F sharp diminished. I'm going to play those chords for you now in position, just so you have reference. And then you're going to qualify those tones yourself by building the chord, given the principle of how you harmonize the G major scale and create its triad chords, its three-note chords. Right? And this is the foundation for most music. All right? So our triads are very important for you to understand and know. Anyway, here's the G major scale harmonized with its triads. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and G major. Okay, so go to your assignment, qualify the chords, build them on the fretboard, and if you already know the chords, just qualify the tones so that you understand the principle. Very cool.